I believe that the single best resource that a early journey, 6, 12, 18 months from being ready to buy, that they should be talking to is a local loan originator. They're going to assess your financial wherewithal, readiness, where you are on that journey in relation to what is going to likely be the largest asset that goes into your portfolio and then the corresponding largest liability. That's right. And so if you think about it in terms of the size of the asset and liability, that is your financial advisor, your first financial advisor, or like my friend Bill Dallas, he says, we're equity advisors. We're not loan originators. We're home equity advisors, right? And you can't have home equity until you own a home and start to have that home grow in value. And so I just really, truly believe that local loan officer is A, the best resource, and B, best positioned to be that resource.
From a professional soccer career to becoming a driving force in the mortgage industry, Brian Covey has shown what it takes to find your competitive edge. Get off the sidelines and get in the game. Find your competitive edge with Brian Covey.
What's up, guys, and welcome to a live stream today. So I love these because it gives us a chance to interact a little bit. If you are live with us, make sure you pop some comments in here. We'll make sure to review those, field them as they come in, and try to answer those as we go. But I'm excited today because Brian Vieaux is one of those guys. If you're on LinkedIn, which we're going live there, you've probably seen some of his commentary. You've seen who he is. COO of FinLocker. He's got his CMB, which is one of those like very highly designated in our mortgage space. Almost 30 years experience. Understands what the local or hey.
Sadly.
I'm keeping us young. I'm keeping us young today. How many years is it?
Oh man, 34 now.
Oh, I knew it was over 30. And so I was like, we're just going to go. I tell people now, once I've gone past that, I'm like, hey, I'm just going to go over 20.
I just say decades.
Yes. But I am excited, my friend. We were talking about this. Your book, I do want to plug that. You're an author. You've got some really cool collaborations with that on Rethink Everything. So guys, if you haven't seen that, go over to Brian's page. You'll be able to find him. Check out that book. There's a lot of great collaborations from some really good thought leaders, which, by the way, I saw this as I was prepping. You're a top thought leader on LinkedIn.
Yeah, go figure. How'd that happen?
I got some top voice thing. Not really sure exactly what it is. One of those. I guess that means I talk a lot on there, which who knows what that means. But we're doing that. Michigan State guy. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, man. Go green. Go green.
But today, guys, here, let me frame this up for you. So if you're listening in and you're somebody that's obviously in mortgage or real estate, financial services, insurance, title, all of that, you're going to find this very relevant because some of the things we talk about today will be right in your wheelhouse and what you deal with. We're going to help equip you to make better decisions. Where is the puck going, as I like to say? What's happening in the market? Get beyond just the headlines that are out there. But if you're not in those industries, that's cool too. We want to welcome you in because many of you are trying to figure out if you're a first-time home buyer. I know I have conversations every week and you're trying to figure out what's happening with interest rates, what's happening with pricing and inventory. And if you look at the headlines, it's doom and gloom and you're trying to see what's actually real in your market. And if you are a first-time home buyer, it can be a little bit overwhelming. Who can I trust? And so we're going to talk about some of that, where the data is, and really equip not only our originators, but give you some information as you're out possibly as a home buyer searching and working with an agent and all that. And I'll leave you with this. If you're not a first-time home buyer, like some of us, and you're looking to buy and move up or move somewhere or whatever you might be doing in your life, I think you're going to find some value in today. So anyway, Brian, welcome, my friend.
Thank you. I've been looking forward to this. You and I, our paths kind of interweave and sometimes cross, but we haven't had a lot of like one-on-one time. And so now we get to do one-on-one to many, which is pretty cool.
And I love these because it gives people a chance. One, they get to know you, learn about your company, what you're doing and all that, but just an insight into the conversations we have. And I tell everybody, every week I'm blessed because I get to talk to people like yourself that you know things I don't know. You have access to information. You're having conversations that I'm not in the room with. And I'm always wanting to learn, okay, what are you seeing? What's happening? Before we jump into that though, tell everybody a little bit about your COO, FinLocker, like what you guys do. Let's put a little plug in so they understand just the dynamic of your day-to-day, what you do.
So I've been with FinLocker now for 5 years. It'll be 5 years in July, which is crazy. Prior to that, I spent right around 30 years. You can do the math on there, but just under 30 years in the primary mortgage space, if you will. all in production. So origination. Started as a loan officer back in 1991. My last stint, if you will, in mortgage production, I ran the third-party origination business for Flagstar Bank.
Yeah.
And so that position, that job, if you will, gave me such unbelievable exposure to a wide swath of the industry, right? Because our customers, our clients were everybody from mom and pop mortgage brokers to, federally chartered national banks and everything in between. And so through that experience, I just soaked in so much information on how different leaders, different companies kind of tackled this business. Yeah. And then having spent decades in that space, I've been through cycles, right? And you see how people navigate through, but what happens on the other side. And I think we're in a cycle. Hopefully we're closer to the good side of it than the deepest part, but time will tell. But, I think now is a time where we're starting to see kind of who the next set of winners are going to be based on kind of the actions they're taking today. And so, I came to FinLocker to do a couple things. One was I wanted to place a bet on myself, but I'm not a gifted, technologist by nature, so I wasn't going to go create a product or start a company. These guys that founded FinLocker are friends of mine for a long time. I believed in the mission, and so and I thought I could come and help grow it. Yeah. Did not anticipate, immediately being faced with a pandemic that, was great from the mortgage perspective for a while because we had, those rates with a 3 handle for a while. Yeah. Not so great for a new technology trying to sell into a mortgage business that had more business than they could handle. So that was a little bit of a challenge. But we're focused on one thing, and that one thing is helping lenders help consumers. And we do that through a set of digital personal financial tools, digital in nature. So one thing that I share with people is if you think about tools that all of us as consumers have access to today, Credit Karma, Credit Sesame, Mint.com, NerdWallet, Zillow, Rocket Money, all those tools have a very specific set of uses that help consumers in one way or another. The other thing that most of those tools have is they tend to be a lead gen tool for the brands that are putting those out there. That's right. Not knocking that at all. What we've done is brought a lot of those features that you would get from those, 5 or 6 brands that I rattled off. We bring them into one experience, one mobile app, brand it to our client, the lender. We can even go down a layer to the loan officer, so the loan officer can be, personally connected to a consumer in that experience. And now instead of, a loan officer having, an early journey, first-time home buyer who's 6+ months from being ready to buy using, Rocket Money or Credit Karma, or they used to use Mint.com, and then risk them getting sold off to somebody else, they can be in the loan officer and the lender's ecosystem having access to those tools. And on top of those tools, we built some pretty cool journeys that are really focused on helping that younger first-time homebuyer get to a place. We're not a pre-approval engine. We're not a pre-qual platform. I like to think we're an education and engagement platform that helps build confidence for consumers so that they get to a place where they can confidently apply and then get into the process of doing what they do to acquire the home and secure financing. It's a long-winded answer. Sorry about that.
No, and I love it. And it gets me thinking right away. I was telling the story somebody the other day. They're asking, hey, how did you buy your first home and all this? And Nicole and I were engaged and we were looking to buy a home. We knew we wanted to get out of the apartment she had and all this. And I'm in the business for not even, maybe at that point, less than a year. And I'm working at Wells Fargo in the bank side and the finance side. And I was still nervous. I didn't have all the information. I was just not educated enough to know what products are out there, what's best for us, how much down payment, we got a Roth IRA, can I borrow from it? Like all these questions. that we had, and we were like, I felt like I was somewhat educated coming out. And I share that story with everybody is no matter where you are in your journey, I love this because education does matter on this. Who you get your information from matters in this. And I always like to remind everybody, your situation is unique. While it might be similar, you might be worried about your credit, worried about what you can afford, all the things, you need to go ask somebody. It's almost like I equate it to you're feeling sick or you've got an injury or something, and you ask your buddies over there who maybe have a little experience, like they've been injured before, they've been sick before. No, go to a specialist and get the right info so then you can treat it, and then you get a roadmap and game plan. And I always say, had we not done that, and I went and asked a friend of mine, I'm like, I know enough to be dangerous, but will you help me? Will you guide me through this whole process? And I love you guys provide that. What do you think today, Brian, is maybe the number one limiting belief or barrier for people that think they can't buy, or just reasons why they're not getting engaged in this process more?
Yeah, I mean, there's the obvious headlines, inventory and affordability, right? Or the combination of those two has created this storm, or perfect storm even. And I'm not going to discount either of those. They're both significant, burdens that all of us have to go through. One of the things I think about a lot, especially if I put my hat on and think about a first-time home buyer. Well, most first-time home buyers are going to fall into a younger cohort age segment, right? And if you want to really kind of drill into it, assume they're at the younger end of that spectrum where they have not, amassed a lot of assets in their life yet. And so they're probably not going to have access to a traditional financial advisor, financial planner, because they don't have enough assets. I joke around, but like my kids are, 26 to 30. And so they don't, and have not yet amassed enough assets. So for them, their personal banker is their ATM. And so as it relates to becoming a homeowner and understanding what that means, I believe that the single best resource that a early journey, 6, 12, 18 months from being ready to buy, that they should be talking to is a local loan originator.
Agreed.
Because they're going to assess your financial wherewithal, readiness, where you are on that journey in relation to what is going to likely be the largest asset that goes into your portfolio, and then the corresponding largest liability. That's right. And so if you think about it in terms of the size of the asset and liability, that is your financial advisor, your first financial advisor. Or like my friend Bill Dallas, he says, we're equity advisors. We're not loan originators. We're home equity advisors, right? And you can't have home equity until you own a home and start to have that home grow in value. And so I just really truly believe that local loan officer is A, the best resource, and B, best positioned to be that resource. Now, having said that, not every loan officer has the right mindset to be that resource. And I'm not knocking anybody, but you have to go into it and be willing to play the long game with a cohort of consumers that may need your help for months or longer before they're ready to pull the trigger.
Hey guys, it's Brian here. I hope you are enjoying the show. By the way, if you're an entrepreneur or a solopreneur looking to grow your personal brand, make a bigger impact, maybe increase your leads and grow your revenue, let's help you get started today by connecting up with my friends over at the Brand Builders Group. You've heard me talk about them, but if you're new here, this is definitely the first step to get you started in turning your reputation into revenue. Head over to freebrandcall.com/Brian Covey. Again, to set up your free brand call, go to freebrandcall.com/Brian Covey to set up a free strategy call with one of the team at Brand Builders, and they will dive into your specific goals for how you want to grow your personal brand. I can't wait to hear how it goes. That's just the truth, though. I mean, I'm glad you hit on that, because we talk about local, and the reality is that all local lenders are not created equal. And you're right. And to know what you're looking for, and it's also, something I share with people is, know what you're looking for. If you're somebody that values like highly fast and effective responsiveness in the sense of you're gonna have a lot of questions, you want somebody that's gonna be able to answer them and all that, you need to find someone that is going to be able to give you that type of service and that type of timeline and those things. If you're valuing the cheapest and maybe somebody says, I'm the cheapest and I'm the fastest, and you don't care about any of the communication and you don't care about the details and you're okay if something goes haywire or, you maybe don't get the cheapest.
Right.
Then you're out kind of shopping. I would say it's like you're Walmart shopping in a way, right? I mean, it's not a bad thing. It's just, that's who you are.
Yeah.
You may go down the street and go, okay, I'm going to go into this store. This is going to be a little bit higher end. I'm going to get the service I want, know what you're looking for. And you guys have provided some data and tools. I loved you mentioned the education pieces. I think this is critical today. And I know for myself, like even looking at people's situations, using the tools we have as originators today to compare and contrast options, right? Of down payment options, this rate versus that rate. Because everybody wants to say, well, this rate's the cheapest. I can tell you, in my own experience, we're probably double digit 10 homes into this after 20 years buying and selling. The lowest rate was not always the best deal for us.
Right.
And so I'd love for you to talk about what are the tools you think those first-time homebuyers or even loan officers, what should they be using today to make these educational, informed decisions to know, is it the right time to buy? What should I be doing to prepare like you talked about?
Yeah, FinLocker, I think, is one tool that is out there. I'm a huge fan of what Dave Savage has built.
Oh yeah,
at Mortgage Coach, and frankly, set aside what he's built, I'm just a fan of the guy. He's a genuine leader in our business and leads with education, right? And so I set aside all the technology for a minute and let's just talk about what the loan officers should be thinking about. I would say you, loan officer, are the best tool. Now, what do you put around yourself to scale your ability to serve others? That's where the technology, I think, starts to play a role. But I go back to it, and I think that loan officer is the best tool for that first-time home buyer. Now, how do you position yourself? How do you make sure people know about you? Those are all that's where the technology starts to play a role, whether it's, scaling your visibility through social media and being more visible on a digital channel like what we're doing, right? Having tools like Mortgage Coach and the total cost analysis in your tool belt to help people better understand, compare and contrast and options. Using a platform like FinLocker that maybe helps you scale for that 6, 12, 18 month, nurturing duration that you might be working with a set of consumers and not being able to do it all, hand-to-hand combat, having some digital tools that assist. So I think that it all starts with the mentality of the loan officer first and making sure that their mindset is that they believe they are, and they are that best first option for that first-time home buyer. It's really, it's when we talk about the book, the Rethink Everything book, or now affectionately known as the Green Book. In the introduction part of the book, by the way, Kyle and I get our names on the book as authors. We did not write this book. We were blessed to be able to have 37 experts in the industry be willing to share their expertise and knowledge in the form of this book. But in the introduction, I talked about the next generation loan officer. It's not code for a 20-something loan officer. It has nothing to do with age. It's really all about mindset. I'm 50. I'll be 56 in a couple of days here. I would like to think that my mindset would serve well for that next generation home buyer, because I believe in leading with education and having a digital first kind of experience as well. Yeah. And so the feedback we're getting from loan officers of all ages is that there's something in here for everybody. Mm-hmm. And part of the magic of how it came together, when you have 37 chapters all written by individuals, you may not agree with, 14 of the 37 chapters, but there's still 23 that are pretty darn good in there. And the biggest compliment I've got so far was some guys that just launched a new mortgage company, literally like first of the year. And they kind of got a hold of this book early on and it's literally part of their business development strategy. And, how they recruit, how they engage their loan officers, how they think about, leveraging digital, social technology, all that stuff. So it's been a wild ride, being a published author. And again, I say author in air quotes because I didn't write much of the book.
Hey, it's similar as when we did the podcast. My first book was Conversations with Kofi, and it was the same thing. As I took that, and I did write one of the chapters, but it was consolidating information from conversations. And very similarly, I said, look, out of the 11 chapters, Barry Habib was in there.
Yeah.
And I go, look, you may not relate to any of these people except for one.
That's it. Yeah.
Cool. Then we're going to help you with your mindset and move forward, which I'd love to know. What do you see in that next gen loan officer? Are there skills, characteristics, pieces of that mindset that you've seen, especially now that you got 37 chapters, all this to kind of pull together? Are there these leading indicators that people need to be paying attention to? And what are those characteristics or skills that you see are going to be vital?
Yeah, I think probably the number one skill, and I don't even know if it's a skill, because I think, we all have it. We just have to unleash it, is to do what you and I are doing, talking into this camera and sharing it with, I don't know, there's probably millions watching, don't you think?
At some point, we hope, right? I mean, if it'll reach, what's cool about this, not to interrupt, but I'll tell you, is these type of events like this, I've started to lean into because of the evergreen piece.
Oh man,
this
so
is
powerful.
just, somebody can look at this in a year or two and it's here.
Yeah, I did now we're totally sidebarring, but I think this all ties in because people could do these same things at a different, at a local level, so to speak. But I did a live demo of FinLocker 4 weeks ago, beginning of May. And during the event itself, I did it on LinkedIn, also streamed it to Facebook and not quite to Instagram like I think we're there today. But we had like 90 people that were in the live session during the deal. And I just checked yesterday, over 1,300, views. So to your point, if you're smart about how you put your content out there, it will continue to grow and it just snowballs from there. But I forgot the question.
The skills, characteristics.
Oh yeah.
It needs to talking to the camera, which I agree. Like you got to show up here. Like that's at this point it is a given.
Yeah, I think, and we're seeing it. There's enough examples of loan officers that are having success by putting content out, and it's not all just dancing. There's a lot of really good content. I wish I was a first-time home buyer today, because there are so many smart people, again, of all ages, that are just putting out great educational content. I follow a bunch of them. And so I think if you think about, the next generation home buyer and how they learn and how they consume content, this is where they're on these platforms. And so if you want to be relevant to them, you need to be putting yourself out there. And I think, any loan officer that's been successful has a level of confidence, and maybe that confidence has been traditional kind of face-to-face. You just got to get over yourself. You opened the conversation talking about my LinkedIn presence, and it's really grown in the last 2 years, because I learned that I'm running a small technology company that's still in somewhat of a startup bootstrap mode, and so we don't have massive marketing and advertising budgets. I've built a decent number of followers on this platform over decades of experience. And so the best way for me to help our business was to put myself out there on LinkedIn. And so did I like the first, 50 to 100 posts I put out? No. Does it matter today? Not a bit. Just get over yourself and get out there and start sharing your knowledge and your expertise. And you'll get comfortable quickly.
Yeah. And you've done a great job of it. And I'll say I have conversations with people and we know some of the same in this regard of it's in a way giving them permission to show up. And several of them I'll talk to offline. I'm like, you just got to be you.
Yeah.
Whatever you're passionate about, you want to talk about, like, too many people want to copy whoever's trending and whatever it is. I'm like, when you show up and you're just you, content flows. It's easy to document. People will be magnetically drawn to you versus if you're this other person. I think our friend, Renee Rodriguez said it the other day. He's like, if you're this other person online and somebody happens to meet you or they want to join your team and they meet you and you're a different person.
That's weird.
Wouldn't that be weird? And it's the worst thing to be known for something that you don't care about. It's not who you are. And it's not what you're promoting.
Right.
And that alignment. And you've done a great job of it. Probably why you got the top thought leader voice and some of that. While we're on that, I'd love to ask this because I think it's important. You've grown it. You've been intentional. Looking forward, is there anything you're doing specific to LinkedIn? Let's take that because I know a large part of the audience that'll be watching this replay and all. What are you doing leaning into LinkedIn? Because it continues to evolve as a platform itself right now.
You're probably part of the beta video group, right? It's not really doing anything for me so far. I don't know about you. I don't see anybody that I know on there. That's weird. So why would I go there?
Not my people. Like I was good. Interesting.
So I don't know that. I don't know that particular, at least how they've engineered it and deployed it today, if that's going to get traction long term. And then I do know that, like, I was, a year ago, I would say I was probably doing a lot more video. And today I'm still doing video, just not as much. And I'm doing more, I guess, long form written content, mixing in every once in a while a poll. I just did one this morning, a poll on there. And so I just try to be consistent. And one thing that I learned with the platform in terms of where the reach kind of grows is I don't do a lot of FinLocker, salesy posts and pitches and stuff, right? I'll mix them in, but I think they understand Brian Vieaux is FinLocker and FinLocker is Brian Vieaux. And so I don't need to put it out there in all my posts. People are connecting the dots that way. And this project is indirectly helping, the FinLocker story as well, because it's all connected. Yeah. And so I think the first thing I would say is you got to be consistent, and consistent doesn't mean, multiple times a day. It's whatever you're going to commit to and you start to do, the people that are following you, that's what they're looking for. They're going to be, if you're like, typically every morning I'll have a post sometime between 7 and 7:30. And if I don't do that, I do have a few of my friends that are like, "Hey man, are you all right? I didn't see your post this morning."
Where are you?
So, consistency, I think you hit it on already. It's be authentic, be you. Don't try to be somebody else because it just doesn't work. Talk about what what you're comfortable discussing. I'm not going to tell you that I'm a, capital markets expert. So you're not going to see me do a lot of posts that talk about capital markets. It's just not, I know enough to be dangerous, but not enough to add value there. So, I lean in a lot today talking about the things I'm passionate about, which are primarily helping lenders and loan officers help first-time home buyers.
I love it. And you can sense that. And, people, if you're not following Brian's stuff already, definitely lean into that. And similar to yours, of, while I dabble into, and I love capital markets, but I'm not the expert. I'm usually asking our guys, "Hey, what about this? What's happening here?" And just getting that, there's great resources, and I love to share those and do all that. But, I've been so just locked in on psychology and leadership, and to your point, just that mental toughness side of our business, which I think some of these other things I can teach people how to originate a loan. I can teach them how to look up product guidelines and all that stuff. But this other part of the game has just been fascinating to me, and I'm drawn to it. So share that stuff. And I'm like, and you'll find your tribe of people. You'll find people that connect with you. And as you go, well, before we wrap, I want to ask you this, because we've talked about the loan officer. We've talked about, really, if you're a first-time home buyer, you're looking in the market, we'll share some resources and people can find you there. you have any predictions? You know, I think we've seen the revision on the rates. We've seen different things there. We've talked about inventory and all that. What are you guys watching, you think, over the next 12 to 18 months, maybe in 24, that you think is going to be some changes that people, whether an originator or potential home buyer, they need to be paying attention to?
Yeah, I think, so I'm not going to make any predictions on rates. Rates are going to go up and rates are going to go down.
Safe to say, right?
Yeah, that's going to happen. I think, just to stay within this calendar year, an election year, probably not going to see too much change, between now and the election as far as, the macroeconomic, impacts on housing. But we still have, every month, every quarter, every year, the bubble of people who are otherwise of age to be in that first-time homebuyer cohort is growing. Mm-hmm. And so the biggest trend that I would say that I would pay attention to as a loan officer is the duration of time that the average homebuyer, and let's just say first-time homebuyer, is going to be in this state of readiness, getting ready. Yeah. And, maybe 2 years ago or 3 years ago, on average, maybe it was 3 to 7 months or something like that. It's probably 7 to 18 months now. Mm-hmm. And so if you're committed to this business as an originator, the days of the order taking's gone. We already know that. Mm-hmm. You have to be committed to being a meaningful resource and having meaningful engagement for a longer period of time, which puts a lot of pressure on you as well to be relevant through that entire process, because there's a lot of competition out there. And just because someone's working with you to, now, but they're not going to be ready till next year, doesn't guarantee they're going to work with you then. So that's right. You have to find ways to just stay as relevant as possible without, burning yourself out or burning them out. And so that's where some of the technology, I think, can help in that regard. So I think that's probably the biggest trend, is that this average duration of engagement that you're going to have with first-time home buyers is not going to get shorter anytime soon. So you just got to be committed to that. And I think the same applies for the buyer's agent on the real estate side, frankly.
Yeah. Isn't that the truth? And from just personal experience, everything you're saying, I'm seeing very similar there. And this just means, look, you need to dial in whatever CRM you use, the social media aspect, staying relevant in front of people, like all these things we've shared with you guys today. If you're listening, just know these all work together, and the systems you build, the technology you use, it does allow you to automate some of this and just to be, kind of what they call ubiquitous, right? You just want to be everywhere. So when they do think about someone, and if it's a year from now, you want to be the first call, because that's the feeling. I see these posts all the time, like, man, I did all this work and they just went somewhere else.
Just saw, I think everybody saw the one about, I worked on Memorial Weekend and did all this
weekend one. And I loved the polarizing sense of, there were two camps. So the people that are all upset and you shouldn't have done this and blah, blah, blah. And I love the camp. I subscribe to the camp of, okay, let's look back. What did I not do to establish rapport, a connection, a relationship, to make sure they understood expectations? And we set this so that, hey, I'm going to do this for you, but I'm going to be the one that guides you all the way through your closing. Are you good with that? Like some type of dialogue to connect. Yeah. And I go, that's where our bad habits from order taking come back. It's like, I did the pre-qual and I gave him a good rate. And I did these things. And you thought that was going to create stickiness?
Right.
Let's think about our own experience and where we land. So, Brian, this has been awesome, dude. I know we could jam more. I am glad we finally got a chance to do this. And I know we'll do more of this. We'll plug in the book. We'll put some links and all that stuff in the live. If you're catching the replay, which many of you will, guys, drop us a comment in there. If you leave a question or you want more information, we do check those. So that'll flag Brian and I both. We'll respond to those. If there's anything we can do that we've shared today and you just have a follow-up question, or what about this resource, or where can I go for that? Hey, reach out. That's really our goal. I know Brian has that same servant heart of, we do this in order to equip not only loan officers and people in our industry, but also to help further that reach of education, which we believe, and I know you're in this camp, I want to educate people just like I was over 20 years ago to realize home ownership is not that far away. If I get the right information, I take the right steps, I can go make that happen. And so we want that for everybody that is willing and able and they want to get in the game. So any parting thoughts or words of wisdom as we wrap up?
No, I mean, the reason I like to do these things is selfishly, I love when people do reach out because I love extending and having those conversations. So like you said, please reach out if you have any comments, questions, want to go a layer deeper. Would love to do it.
Awesome. And we'll continue to do these. I've been adding these into our just regular conversations, and I love these on LinkedIn. If there's somebody you think we should have on the show, always ask. I may not know them, or it's someone that I just haven't thought of. Tag them in the post, let them know, we'll bring them on, and we'll make sure this happens. So Brian, thank you as always, man. It's always just a good conversation, and you pointed out some things today. I think people, as they listen, are going to go back, and even the notes I made, there's things that we can go do today in our business and start serving people. So thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Okay, guys, we'll catch you on the next kind of live. If you don't listen to the podcast, I'll put a little plug there. Subscribe to that over on Apple, Finding Your Competitive Edge, and we'll make sure we continually bring you value relevant to wherever you are in your life and help take the right next steps. Until then, go out there, do something great, and we'll talk to you later. See ya.